I would like to recommend two major brands of switches while building large networks. I am recommending those two brands. They are the leading brands and the internal configuration is quite easy comparing with others. They are Cisco and HP Aruba and they perform well also. You can choose either Cisco or HP Aruba based on your company budget. And from the switch, the data packet, we can forward it to the client devices with certain restrictions and certain IP address ranges. Before concluding this slide, I would like to talk a little bit about network cables. In order to establish the connection in between network devices and clients, we do use network cables. If it is a short distance, we do use Cat6 Ethernet cables nowadays. And if it is the long distance, we need to use fiber optic cables. Example, if it is longer than 100 meters, we do highly recommend to use fiber optics in order to avoid packet drop during the transmission of data. We'll see about data transmission using the conceptual network diagram in the next slide. Through this conceptual network diagram, I would like to explain how data transmission happens in your company or organization from internet service provider to your client device. I'm explaining these things based on my experience I gained building and maintaining network infrastructure among different organizations and companies through my career experience. From internet service provider, they do forward packets to firewall. Firewall identify data packets from the public IP address given by the router, and firewall converts it to a private IP, which we call network address translation, and it forward necessary packets to internal network and it drops unnecessary packets, avoiding getting into the internal network considering the security. We can do set it up certain access rules and policies based on our requirement of the restriction. And forwarded packets coming to the core switch, we can do separate into VLANs based on the client services requirement in the core switch. Example, if we need to do Wi-Fi, we can create a separate VLAN for Wi-Fi. We can do separate VLANs for printers. We can do separate VLANs for access control. We can do separate VLANs for local area network. We can do separate VLANs for servers, etc. From the core switch, it goes to the distribution switch. Distribution switch we use to assign the port connection where the client devices are located. That is why we use the distribution switch. So we forward the packet from core switch to the distribution switch, and likewise we can do forward directly from core switch to servers also based on the VLAN that we created for server. And from distribution switch, let's say for an example we need to give the Wi-Fi service, then for the organization we do majorly use access points to broadcast signals in huge area. We can directly connect to the access point via a patch panel or something like that, etc. If we need to control the access points, let's say we do have lots of access points in your company, so most of the network administrator, they use a controller. Most of the time they use a GUI, graphical user interface, to handle this access control functionality, and they can do set it up separate SSIDs. SSIDs mean you can see the Wi-Fi in different names, and they assign passwords for it. How they assigning those things? They do assigning using the controller. And not only that, through the distribution switch we can do connect to the printers, and based on the VLAN that we created for the printing services, etc., we can do connect devices which is compatible for the network, either Wi-Fi or wired networks, through the distribution switch of the network. That is how the data transmission happen. We can see a network operation center in our next slide. I will give you an explanation about why a network operation center is being established. In this picture, you can have a view of a network operation center parallel with the small view of a network rack diagram, which contains a switch, patch panel, and the connected Ethernet cables. The purpose of establishing network operation centers for large networks, especially the consumption, if it is more than 4,000, 5,000 users, it is little difficult to identify individually each and every activities. For during that kind of circumstance, we do use separated tools. Example, I have used in my experience PRTG and SolarWinds to identify network activities. That means network bandwidth, network node uptime, network services, example RTP services and SMTP services, HTTP, HTTPS services, through that GUI interface. That helps to maintain an efficient, secured data transmission up and running for the organization, minimizing the downtime. I would like to conclude my lesson from this slide, and I would like to thank you for watching this video, and please do subscribe and share among your community, and do comment us to improve our next video. Again, thank you for watching. Have a great day.